Hello again. We're getting back to QSPlus International, and today I'm going to discuss the contents of the core data tab on the ribbon. This data is central to your whole system, and it is used in every project through your system depending on what you select. You may not really want to get too close to this apart from setting up your practice details. For example, the libraries are set. You may want to add consultants, but there is not a lot that you really need to change here. So if you're more interested in starting to measure a cost plan, then please proceed to the next video. Otherwise, you could pick out bill production, etc., etc. But for now, I'm going to open the practice details window, which will show us the details of my default practice. When you get your QSPlus installation, you will have this kind of information listed as Office number 1. You should note that every new project is actually linked to Office number 1. So what you would need to do is to change this data, which records new dimension technology, to your own practice. For example, your practice name, your practice description, I beg your pardon. Yeah, I'll do that. And different phone numbers. Different email address. And then your logo. Now, what's important about the logo is that it prints on every printed page that you produce, including, most importantly, on your cost plan presentation documents and your bills of quantities document. So you need to get your logo into this logo picture instead of the QSPlus logo. You can be assisted with this by the help desk, but you should know that you will need the artwork for your logo, and you will need to put that artwork into Microsoft Paint, which is available on the accessories menu of your computer. I think it is called Paint. There it is. You need to get your logo artwork, paste it into Paint, resize it if necessary, and from here, copy the image and paste the physical image into this box that says Logo Picture. And there's even a little dedicated help button to explain to you how it is done. For now, we'll leave that alone. You will have noticed while I was editing this record that you saw a pencil in the record selector bar, which meant that the record was being edited, and it has changed back to an arrowhead because the record has been updated. So far, so good. Just one more point to note is that you can have multiple practice details. On the sample data, there is one called Alternative Practice Record, which doesn't have a logo. Okay, now, if you are working in consortium with another practice, you may have a different consortium name and a different consortium contact number, email address, and a different logo. So what you would do then is to go to your job data and select the alternative practice record against the job instead of the one which gives the default practice name, which is in this case CDE Quantity Surveyors. I'll show that to you when we get to the cost plan and the bill production modules. Okay, so far so good. I touched on users earlier, to show you the kind of functions that you can allow or restrict each user from doing. There'll be a little control tip on each of these checkboxes to tell you what it is that this checkbox represents. Okay, and this data is present for, that was demo, here is the data for additional users. Okay, so each user can have his profile set up differently. This is important if you are in a very large system where you're sharing a single set of data. In other words, if you were in an office with multiple users, you would have this profile data and all the other core data. You would actually have it set up on a server somewhere in the middle, and everybody would be looking at that server for the data. So you would only have to change it once. Okay. And then again, I mentioned earlier, these bill parameters determine to some degree how your bill is actually output, in what font, and how big the typeface is. Just a word about the font. If you want to use something that's a little bit unusual, please make sure that each of the computers using this font actually has it installed. That's important. If you're using something like Arial, it really doesn't matter because everybody gets Arial. But there are other fonts which are not installed automatically with Windows. Right, so we can have a look here. It says, how do you want us to treat the fly sheet? What do you want to print on it? How do you want it listed? Do you want this bill title to say bills of quantities? If it's provisional, do you want to print the word provisional for a client for this project? And then these are the various captions that will print. This is how the bill pages will be named: section number, bill number, whatever, index to bills, and add VAT at, and the percentage will be pulled out from your practice particulars. Page number caption is page. Bill item setup. Do you want, what size do you want each of these items to be? Headings, subheadings, item headings, and items. Do you want them to be bold-faced? Do you want them to be italicized? Do you want them to be underlined? In creating the bill index, do you want to include the bill headings? Or if you don't choose to do that, you will just get a list of the bill numbers and the bill names. Do you want your items to be numbered numerically or with alpha characters? Numeric will number your items from 1 to N through the bill, but alpha characters will number from A to N on each specific page because there are only 26 alpha characters. And then again, column headings. If you say you have a separate column for, right, let's just go here. We've got an item number. How do you want your item number to be described? How do you want your bill item description to be described? And actually most people choose not to put any heading above those items on the bill. The columns that are important are unit of measure, quantity, rate, and amount. The number format of quantity is standard, which means as a Windows standard, if you have 123,456, here we go. There's a control tip there, you can see it. Okay, just remember that if you hover your cursor on any input and if there is a control tip, you will see it. Line intensity is the intensity of the vertical lines on the bill output page. Please do not change this from the default. It seems to work for everybody. It took a while to get to a point where 2.5 was discovered as the standard. Do you want separate column for quantities and separate column for units of measure? Do you want to underline your unit of measure and quantity? Do you want a vertical line between the bill descriptions and the unit of measure? Do you want to display the headers for columns? That is these headers above. Okay. In the footer text, what are we going to have? Carried to collection, carried to summary. You can change this if you like to read to collection, to summary, to section summary, to final summary, etc. just know what your practice standard is, and check it out with whoever is in charge before you change any of the stuff, because it will be your entire system that is being changed if you're working in a large office. And the summary page text. So here we have collection page title, which unsurprisingly reads collection. Summary page title for a single section bill, it reads summary, section summary, final summary, form of tender. Okay, so having discussed this, you'll see that because I changed something, there's a pencil. I'm just going to update that record. And you'll notice here in the record selector area, I beg your pardon, record navigation area, it tells me this is record number 1 of 8. So there are actually 8 possibilities on file. Every new job will print its bill according to print parameter number 1, but you can change that later on if you want to on the job. I'll show you when we get there. Okay.